Now, the United Nations estimates that African countries will spend nearly $19 billion paying back external loans this year. And with collapsing local currency making them costlier to service, life is becoming increasingly unaffordable for many Africans. So what's the way forward? Now, the African continent has more than 40 currencies. Some of them have been stable, but let's look at why some currencies continue to slide against major foreign currencies despite government's effort to stabilize them. A World Bank report in August revealed that the Nigerian naira depreciated by 43% in the past year, partly due to a surging demand for US dollars coupled with a dollar shortage in the market. The Ethiopian birr and South Sudanese pound were also among the worst performing currencies. Now, despite efforts to fix the problem, another World Bank report showed that inflation has been rising concurrently with exchange rates. It has also made external debt more expensive. To mitigate the currency volatility, some countries are urging more members to join the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, a cross-border financial platform that enables payment transactions across Africa as they trade and borrow money using their local currency. Now, let's hear more from Ken Gishinga. He's a chief economist at Mentori Economies. He joins me from Nairobi. Ken, thank you for joining us here on Africa Matters. This is a question that Africans continue to have. But how are local currencies contributing to the external debt distress faced by many African countries?
Many thanks for having me. Indeed, various countries are facing significant challenges, not least because of inflation, which had been high globally, but it's coming down. But also because of the debts that you have alluded to. Obviously, inflation erodes the purchasing power and makes it more expensive to import. And most of these African countries are net importers. They import more than they export. So when the currency weakens, the cost of goods become more expensive and it becomes unbearable for the citizens. So I think it's to the central banks to try really and manage inflation, number one, but also currency circulation to make sure that unemployment is within manageable levels.
So when you talk about the central bank needs to do more to manage the inflation, how will this be done?
That's a good question, Zeda. Typically, they have interest rates tools that are able to manage inflation. So when an economy is overheating, for example, if there's too much money chasing too few goods, central banks can raise interest rates to be able to control how much money is in circulation. That controls what is called the demand pull inflation. However, there's another type of inflation called the cost push. This is when inflation is coming from abroad. Issues of Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas, making cost of fuel go up. Now, those type of events, our central banks have almost zero control over, and really it's up to countries to ensure productivity.
Right, so Ken, over 80% of loans are predominantly the USD. So can provisions be made for the African countries to pay in their local currencies?
I mean, that has always been put on the table. Most countries have two types of debt. They have domestic debt and they have external debt. Countries like such as Kenya has it half and half, 50% domestic, 50% foreign. Now, those two debts have two problems. If you have too much domestic debt, it means you're crowding out the private sector. It means banks should, instead of banks lending to businesses, they start lending to government and they crowd out the private sector. However, when you have too much external debt in dollars, you are subjected to exchange rate risk, so that if your currency loses value, the amount of debt becomes all the more.
So can we say then, Ken, internal borrowing instead of the external borrowing by African countries can be a solution?
It can. In fact, if you look at the big countries, the US, Japan, China, most of their borrowing is in their own currency. So America will borrow in dollars, the Japanese will borrow in yen, The beautiful thing about that is you are in control of your destiny because you are the issuer of that currency. The problem with borrowing in external currency is you're not in control of that currency. So it becomes very difficult in terms of debt management.
Right, so let me pick your mind on this. So is the Pan-African payment and settlement system that has been a conversation for some time a solution to, intra-Africa trade with local currencies?
It can be a solution, but those countries have to be backed by a strong constitutional framework because that what gives a currency authority. It's really the name of the country behind it. The reason the dollar has so much prominence is because people believe in the American Constitution, the rule of law, justice. Those are the things that give a country status. So if African countries want to go that direction, they must invest in constitutionalism, they must invest in a strong justice system, so that when somebody holds a currency from a country, they know, yes, this is a currency that I can put my trust behind.
That has been a major debate, Ken. But then looking back at 2024, of course, it's coming to an end in a few weeks' time. What can African countries do to strengthen their local currency and make them work for them? Of course, you've been talking about the constitutionality when you answered the previous question.
On top of that is the issue of innovation. If African countries are innovative and they're able to sell products only within those countries, then the demand for that currency becomes large. For example, you can say here in Kenya, you have the Masai Mara, for example. If you're able to make good tourist products from the Masai Mara, then it means all foreigners who come to Kenya will need to get the Kenya shilling to be able to access the Masai Mara. So that makes the shilling very strong. So it's up to countries to make sure they're innovative. They're creating goods that every country in the world wants. And the only way other foreigners can access those products is through their currency. Once you do that, then your currency becomes very, very strong.
Thank you so much, Ken Gishinga, he's a chief economist at Mentoria Economies. Thank you for talking to us here on Africa Matters.
Thank you.
We have more stories here on Africa Matters, including...
I am Nogukanya Musi in Eswatini, here to uncover the life-saving power of Britain Watt's mission to remove poisonous snakes from homes and raise awareness of their importance for anti-venom.
To Nigeria, where tough economic times have forced business entrepreneurs to turn to online Forex trading as a side hustle to make sense of it all. A local company is now offering Forex trading classes in the local Yoruba language. Emre Boz reports.
Fumililo Aluka is a local herbalist in Ibadan, and she's been running this business for years. Her shop is filled with a variety of plants that are used to treat diseases and infections. Even though she takes pride in a tradition that is passed down through generations of women in her family, just like many Nigerians, she has had to find a side hustle.
We are in Nigeria. One source of income cannot do it again. I'm a family woman. I have children I'm taking care of. And in the quest of looking for more source of income, I found Forex. And immediately I found Forex, it clicks. And I said, let me just go for it.
Despite her fluency in English, Aluka struggled to understand the complex trading terminology, which led to financial losses. Her breakthrough came when she discovered a Forex training center offering classes in her native Yoruba language.
There are some things that they might not, even if they tell us in English, we might not even understand very, very well, like them saying it in Yoruba because we are Yorubas. You understand? That's why I prefer that Yoruba class, because they go deep, in depth. They go deep and they explain everything to us very, very clearly and very, very well. And it also helps us to understand it the more.
Just like Aluka, Amoare Adekunle Allen, CEO of Charts Empire, a Forex and crypto trading firm in Ibadan, recalls the challenges he faced while communicating with his clients due to language barriers. That's when he realized there was a gap to teach Forex trading in the Yoruba language. The center runs 2 different classes. One takes a year for those who wish to trade as a full-time career, and another one for 6 months for those who want to trade as a side hustle.
A lot of people actually are interested to go into this field, but the barrier, the limitation they have is this language barrier of English. So that's why I sat down that, okay, as a Yoruba person, I understand this. So there should be a way I can break things down to the format in which the Yorubas can understand this.
There has been an increase in trading platforms globally due to the rising number of online Forex brokers and growing popularity of cryptocurrency trading. And in Nigeria, access to smartphones, the internet, a young population, and e-payment solutions means a high number of Nigerians participating in global market trading. With unfamiliar terminology, choosing the right trading platform has been a daunting task for beginners and experienced users. So for Aluka and others, Yoruba classes have not only helped them understand the sector, but also enabled them to make profits. Emre Boz, Africa Matters.
In Eswatini, venomous snakes and humans share a perilous coexistence. There are around 400 serious snakebite cases annually, especially in rural areas. Britain Watts is a survivor of not one, but 2 venomous snake bites. Nakuhonya Mosi reports from Babeni, where Britain is determined to make a difference.
The rural beauty of Eswatini comes with a deadly caviar, some poisonous locals. But amidst these rolling hills, one man has made it his personal mission to remove snakes from homes and educate rural communities. Britain Watts has survived snake bites from a black mamba and Mozambican spitting cobra. He also lost a finger to a puff adder. But instead of steering clear of these misunderstood creatures, he now seeks them out literally. Searching under beds, in dark corners and behind closets, tackling the problem at its source. His mission is to save both lives and reptiles.
Since we started teaching the people about snakes, we are having less people get bitten by snakes and less dead. And now we are able to milk the snake ourselves and send the antivenom to Costa Rica to make the antivenom for us.
Our visit coincided with Britain heading out on another mission. Ngedisi Slongonyane, a father of 3, had a close encounter with the infamous black mamba, a snake with a bite that can kill in 6 hours if not treated. Britain's swift response may have saved his life.
We are now equipped with the knowledge and tools to handle any potential snake encounters in the future. Their helpful insights and the contact information will be a vital resource for us.
The World Health Organization estimates that there are around 400 serious snakebite cases annually in Eswatini.
Britain's tireless efforts to educate rural communities and rescue venomous snakes from homes isn't just about preventing tragedy, but also about saving lives. The snakes he captures are vital in the production of anti-venom, a life-saving treatment for those who have been bitten.
Eswatini has got 7 venomous snakes, and with the current antivenom that we're using, which is produced in Costa Rica, it has the capability of neutralizing all 7 snakes because their venom was used as part of the cocktail that was used to produce the antivenom.
Not a single life was lost in Eswatini's 2023-2024 snakebite season, which makes this one man's personal mission all the more worthwhile. Nobukanya Musi, Africa Matters, Mbabane, Eswatini.
To South Africa next, where there is an alarming trend that could have deadly consequences. Now, pedestrians are throwing themselves onto oncoming traffic as a way of trying to get a big payout. The Road Accident Fund deals with compensation of road accidents in the country, and it says there has been a sudden rise in the number of claims in the past few weeks. Tshengo Fatso Magolego has more.
Good. As the festive season approaches, footage like this of men intentionally walking into traffic in the hopes of getting hit by slow-moving vehicles has become the norm in South Africa. All this in a desperate bid to claim compensation from the Road Accident Fund. About 1 in 3 South Africans is unemployed, and they live in the most unequal country in the world, according to the World Bank's latest figures.
I was driving home from work last week when two gentlemen flung themselves onto my car. I had to swerve my car to avoid hitting any of them. That's when they ran away following their failed attempt.
He says driving at night has become his biggest nightmare.
I was really scared. I thought I was going to lose my life or worse, kill someone unintentionally.
Nearly 50,000 claims have been rejected since 2021 by the Road Accident Funds after finding claimants responsible for intentionally causing accidents. As the notoriously dangerous festive season fast approaches, many desperate road users are using this approach as their only way to survive.
What we want to say to people is the RAF claims are based on a fault system. In other words, if it's your fault, you are the reason that the accident has happened, we will not pay you. And so the attempts to throw yourself against a car will result in nothing. In fact, what you're going to end up gaining is going to prison.
Data from the Road Accident Fund shows that nearly 8,000 people have been killed in South Africa in the last 5 years, and it worsens over the holidays.
A gentleman from a township outside Cape Town had his mirror broken and managed to chase down the person. And when he interrogated the person says, "I wanted to get rich."
Even though there are measures in place to curb this new phenomenon, the question remains whether this is enough to stop the spread of this dangerous scheme. Tshego Fatso Magolego, TRT World, Pretoria, South Africa.
We switch gears now, as South Africa and Rwanda have submitted the bid to host Formula One Grand Prix races after 3 stalled decades. As Elias Avji reports, a 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton says there is a need for Africa to reclaim its place in the sport.
The high-octane thrill and roar of high-performance cars was last heard at South Africa's Kyalami Grand Prix circuit in 1993. And after 30 years of waiting, the prestigious motorsport could be making a comeback on the African continent.
I really think it's needed for Formula One to come to Africa. Maybe not everywhere, because obviously there are lots of places in the world, and we've got 24 races now, which are already quite a lot, but to come to Africa will be absolutely amazing, because it's one of the only continents where we don't race, and there's a lot of Formula One fans here, and it will be great to be able to have a race here.
There's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of demand for it, so it's definitely got to happen. It has to happen. There's so many people on a Sunday afternoon who just sit at home and watch, Formula One. So there's definitely a market and there's definitely excitement for it to happen.
Rwanda and South Africa are bidding to host the 2027 F1 season. In December, Rwanda became the first African country to host an F1 annual award ceremony.
It all comes down to respect and giving everyone the chance to contribute where they can. That's why it is so important for countries in every region and every income level to have a fair shot at hosting international sporting events.
According to F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali, Africa is the missing continent in the world of championship despite the sport's dramatic growth. But not everyone is convinced.
I'm not sure the majority of the population understands motorsport. So are we ready? I don't think we are. Is the facility ready? They're very close to it.
The goal to have the sport return to Africa is clear. Organizers are hoping to showcase the continent's unique landscape as a lucrative venue while inspiring a new generation of homegrown drivers. Elias Avji, Africa Matters.
Moving to football, where the best of 2024 have been named. The Confederation of African Football held its annual awards in Morocco on December 16th, crowning the players and outstanding performances of the year. Rahul has more.
And the winner is Ademola Lookman.
Ademola Lookman is the king of African football 2024. The Nigeria and Atalanta striker had been the name on everyone's lips leading up to these awards. And the panel of African media professionals, players, and coaches duly recognized his achievements this year.
To me, it's an incredible achievement, incredible moment. Special to be able to join a list of many great players who have achieved a lot in the game, legends. So for me, tonight means a lot.
Lookman was key to his Italian club winning their first European trophy. He scored a hat-trick in the Europa League final against German champions Bayern Leverkusen. For his national team, Lookman scored 3 goals in the Africa Cup of Nations as the Super Eagles finished runners-up to Ivory Coast. Lookman is also the only African on this year's Ballon d'Or shortlist. And the women's prize made history by going to the first Zambian to win the title.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Barbara Banda.
The Orlando Pride and Zambia striker finished ahead of Morocco's Sana Masudi and Nigeria's Chiamaka Nadozie. Earlier this year, she became the leading African scorer at the Olympics after scoring 10 goals, including a hat-trick against Australia over 2 matches.
I feel great. It's something that I've been waiting for, and I've been working hard for it so that I can be here even today. Despite last time I came, I didn't make it, but this time around, I've made it, which makes me feel great and amazing.
The event also highlighted team successes. Nigeria's Super Falcons won the Women's National Team of the Year, and Africa Cup of Nations champions Ivory Coast claimed the men's title. Rahul Radhakrishnan, Africa Matters.
Ademola Lookman from Nigeria.
That's our show this week. Share your thoughts and suggestions about the stories you've seen on this episode or ideas on what you'd like us to cover on YouTube or on X using the hashtag Africa Matters. Thanks for watching, and it's goodbye from me, Brenda Radido. See you.